What up, everyone? Mu and XP back on the mic. Welcome to another episode of Jazzy Talk. Episode 6. Very proud of myself that I got this far. And so, to commemorate this special occasion tonight, I have none other than Goodsport, aka Ryan from the North Carolina Third Strike scene. He has come on the show to talk a little bit more about NC Third Strike and to hype up a event that I am very excited for, and that is the first ever Jazzy Ranking Event at Super Abari Game Bar. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and get this show started. And so, thanks again, Ryan, for coming through, and I appreciate you organizing this event over at Abari, and looking forward to seeing all that high level Third Strike.
Hey, thank you very much. High level is very subjective, but we're very happy to be doing it. Appreciate it, man.
Well, I mean, the North Carolina scene historically has been very dedicated in Third Strike, and just from the last Jazzy finale, you had two players from your scene.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Love
that.
In the final bracket, Flannel Jack, who I spoke with on Jazzy Talk a few days ago, and Knuckle Dust, and so then you have a lot of other players, and so yeah, tonight we're just gonna talk a little bit about yourself, how you got into Third Strike, how you started TOing, and then maybe talk a little bit more about this Super Abari Third Strike tournament. And so, yeah, welcome to have you.
Hey man, the pleasure's really on mine. I love it, man. I haven't been I feel like I haven't been on a Third Strike stream in a while. I mean, it's been I've been so busy with just obviously just being a human being. It takes a lot of time on its own. You know what I mean? You got a wife and a family. You got your job, and I have obviously another huge hobby. Outside of Third Strike. So, but I'm happy to get back into it, man. It's been a cool experience because we've had a lot of changes and dynamics in North Carolina. But the cool thing about it is because we have so many people that are dedicated and who want to see the scene thrive. It's like no matter what happens, if an arcade closes down or stops doing tournaments or something like that, which is kind of precisely what happened. We had a big hub that kind of they still like have people to play Third Strike, but they stopped doing like their monthly over there, and it was like a really big thing for us. So but now it's one of those things where like, okay, if that happens, then we have other people who can kind of pick the slack up, because we have like Eduardo who does a ton UFO for FG, for you guys who know that. He runs events all the time in North Carolina, and also like the Tekken scene has kind of been like our brothers in arms lately. We're doing stuff with them like all the time. The Grown Men Monthlies that GK and Knuckle Dust run were like just so like those tournaments are so effing fun. And we have incredible people. Like we have people from Atlanta come down to play with us, and sorry, that's for Tekken mostly, I should say. The Tekken side, man, those guys are incredible. Shout outs to Atlanta Tekken, man. You guys rule. And also our Tekken scene, like our Tekken 7 scene is incredible. And I am 100% rambling now, but it's just
okay.
kind of give an idea here. Like I feel like you can't talk about Third Strike without talking about the Tekken scene in North Carolina, man. Like those guys are they're just incredible, and I feel like they've kind of embraced the idea of we're kind of like scene siblings, really. We do lots of stuff together. So anyway, that's the whole rambling there is we have a healthy scene in Charlotte, and with things kind of shutting down in Greensboro a little bit, I kind of know that I have a little bit of a responsibility to make sure that we at least have like the occasional big tournament here somewhere. It's got to happen somewhere. So I'm excited to do it, man. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be good stuff in North Carolina. I really don't see the scene like slowing down or like dying like anytime soon, because we have too many people who are involved, and we have too many people who give a shit to let the hype die down, so to speak. So and we still get new players coming in, which is always good. It's not stagnant. So yeah. That's my whole answer to the question that we probably wasn't even a question.
it's,
That? Yeah.
it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, you had mentioned that you had like another hobby. Would you care to like share it with everyone, or I
Oh
don't know if it
yeah,
was
I mean,
something
no
you
one
wanted
gives a
to.
shit. I've been recording an album for a while, and I'm a solo artist, so it just takes a shit ton
Okay.
of time because I write like full band stuff. So like, and I also am the one paying for all of it. So it's like, take the time to make the money, take the time to write everything, take the time to make the demos so you can practice for like properly, and then you have to play all the instruments. And I mean, it's all done now, and literally the only thing I have to do now is just pay the place because like I kind of splurged. I went to a really nice studio to get everything done. I owe them, so I definitely still kind of I got to pay up a good bit of money, but it's nothing I can't handle. But still,
What kind
that's
of
kind of it.
music do you play?
Well, I play mostly singers. What I like to tell people is I play singer songwriter stuff, but it doesn't suck because like let's be real, dude. Almost every singer songwriter sucks ass. They're terrible. Every time you meet someone like, oh yeah, I play the acoustic guitar and I sing, like, okay, cool. I'm never fucking going to listen to you because who the hell doesn't? But
Yeah.
yeah, I do that, and I take it very seriously. I'm
Hmm.
not just playing stupid open voiced cowboy chords all the time. I use alternate tunings. I'm using complicated finger picking patterns. I use different time signatures. And I also incorporate full band stuff. Like if I'm doing a recording, I don't want more than like half the songs to just be an acoustic guitar and a voice. People want to listen to big shit. Like all of the biggest singer songwriters in history never really got big because of a song that was just this intimate thing with them and their guitar. Like even like guys like Jim Croce didn't see a hit until You Never Mess with Jim came out. Like James Taylor was big because he wrote with big ensembles. I mean, all the guys in Crosby, Stills, and Nash were big because there were three dudes who all knew how to write. So I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like you kind of have to say shit like that to separate yourself from the pack because there's a million Joe Schmoes out there who do this shit and they're just not good. But Charlotte. But no, Charlotte has a pretty good singer songwriter scene.
Hmm.
We have a lot of good folks here. But that's kind of been my hobby. It's been the big thing. So I'm kind of now struggling to. I'm kind of trying to scrap together as much money as I can to kind of pay this off, and then I'm kind of right now working on getting a band together for a single release show because I have a single that's mixed and mastered that I haven't released from months back, but I need like a full band to do it, and it's kind of hard getting people in their 30s and 40s to get together to regularly play, because it's like the passion. Like a lot of people just kind of either lost the passion or they're too busy with their jobs or whatever, and but it's always a work in progress, and luckily I am making progress in that area.
Hmm.
Trying to get like a big single release show made, where maybe I can make some money to try and pay off some of these costs. And um, I'm doing music full time, so it's like one of those things where you're kind of always like you're kind of like always champing at the bit for like any opportunities that you can get.
Hmm.
So that's kind of why it's like why I suppose I've been pretty busy. It's
Hmm.
because you're kind of needing to do a lot of networking. You kind of need to spend a lot of time. Honestly, people don't think about this, but you have to spend a lot of time working with people, and then it doesn't go anywhere
Hmm.
because you're not going to know if something's going to work until like you meet up and kind of work with someone a couple times.
Hmm.
And it's just like hours that you're not going to get back. You didn't get paid for it. You didn't really gain anything from it. So it's kind of just like a really nasty part of the beast that people don't really like think about. Like just even just doing music as a hobby. If you want to do it with other people, if you want it to be good, it just takes this insane amount of time. Um, which is why any person or any restaurant or any business owner who wants to pay an artist with exposure can eat 1 million dicks. The end.
All right, well, appreciate that. Goodsport. I don't know how the conversation got there, but
Oh yeah.
uh,
Oh yeah. We're going
so
in.
yeah, so you're a musician in your spare
Yeah.
time. That's
Yeah.
cool. Excited to hear that you are recording an album, and I
Oh
hope you
yeah.
find that band. And
Oh
so
yeah, brother.
maybe if anyone is listening, if anyone is interested in being in a band, go hit up
Oh yeah.
Goodsport.
100%, man.
Yeah. So, but how did Third Strike come into play then? Like, because that's obviously your other big hobby. And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
like, how did you get into, this game of ours? And
Yeah, there's a really freaking cool story about how it started with Charlotte. So I mean, when I started this, I could not have been any more unaware of other scenes going on. This whole time Greensboro was the premier third strike place, and it was for many, many years. I mean, it kind of probably, I mean, you could probably make the argument it still is to an extent. Um, my understanding is that the weeklies aren't quite as, it's like people don't meet there quite as often, or maybe not as many people meet there. Please correct me in the comments. I do not know right now. But for a long time, like Greensboro, like it really, really, that was the spot. It's where you went if you wanted to get better. It's where if you want to play against good people, the best in the state, that's what you had to go to, man. And I mean, if you want to get better, I mean, it's like you really have to be exposed by that. You had guys like Roski and Knuckle Dust and Brian. I don't know if I should say his full name. Face, like Sisu, Automatic. We have a lot of just killers. Oh yeah, Common Sense, who he hadn't really been coming out for a while, but I mean he's still like but he's still like is active off and on his on his stream. If you guys haven't checked out Common Sense, Jesus Christ, he's my favorite third strike streamer, bar none. But I know he's kind of been AWOL for a bit. So anyway, Charlotte, I was unaware of that. My understanding is I believe Eduardo, think at the time may have already been doing his stuff with Tournament of Thrones. If he's here, if anyone can correct me, if around 2018, I would assume he was doing it by then. But this Charlotte scene didn't exist at the time. I learned after the fact that we had a scene some years prior. There was a mall we had called Eastland Mall here. It closed down like in the 2000s or something like that. So I mean, it had been a long time since we had a scene,
Mhm.
and I was unaware of it again. But we had this thing at Abari. There was a 10-player game called Killer Queen, and that was a big thing for me because I kind of started hanging out at Abari when a lot of like my real life friends had moved to other cities, and I didn't want to leave Charlotte. I don't know why. I was just had this thing where I didn't want to leave Charlotte for some reason, so I stayed there, and I was looking for like people to kind of hang out with and just sort of meet new folks. So Abari opened, and it seemed like it was right up my alley. I found this Killer Queen thing, met some of my best friends to this day there, and this was like probably, was this 2016? So I guess it was like 8 years ago. And we because when Abari, this is the old location. Right now it's called Super Abari Game Bar. It used to just be called Abari or Abari Game Bar, and that refers to the first location that was
Oh, okay.
around.
Okay.
Twice. That's sort of like the difference is that now it's Super Abari. It's because it's a new location. But yeah, the old location was a little smaller. Obviously, when you're a regular at a burgeoning business, like you get to know the owner, and you kind of like get a little bit of sway on like what goes on in terms of like their offerings, because any smart owner wants to know what their customer base wants, and they'll he had no problem going out of his way to get a cabinet if he knew that people wanted it. So I came into there, I was like kind of in this weird place where like I was definitely a casual fighting game player, but I was obsessed with Street Fighter, almost more so for like the feel of it. Like I just like playing like casually, I guess. And I wanted to learn how to play Third Strike really badly. I had never, and this again, y'all remember this back. This was back in 2016. Fightcade wasn't a thing. Um, a good port of Third Strike wasn't a thing, except for like there was the PS3 online edition, and there was the Xbox 360. I think at the time those are the two places where everyone was at. However, if you're casual and you're not in the competitive scene, you don't have people to talk to, you don't know that. So I was obsessed with the idea. Like I was constantly saying, like whenever I could, like I want a Third Strike machine here. And I knew there were several other guys who in the Killer Queen scene who kind of wanted to do it. There actually are some of you guys may have actually seen some folks from Killer Queen play. If any of you guys know, there's a guy named Bob from Chicago. There's a guy named Dre. His last name begins with a Q. I'm not gonna say full names here. Dre. And there's a guy named Dylan who played with a lot of the Chicago guys. I think some of the folks in Chicago know those two guys. There's a few other folks who maybe weren't like, big names, but they went out and traveled and stuff. There's just a handful of Killer Queen guys that are in it, but I digress. Zach got a third strike cab, which is awesome. So when we started off, it was just, we would meet on Wednesdays to play Killer Queen. And whenever we were waiting on games, we would go play third strike. Killer Queen's like a 10-player game, but we had like 30 people would show up to play, somewhere around there, like most weeks, which was awesome. Mm-hmm. And it was literally just an offshoot of the Killer Queen scene. And what kind of happened was I kind of got more serious about wanting to do that. And I kind of stopped liking Killer Queen for just reasons. I mean, it was something I played competitively. I traveled so much to play that game. Oh, wow. And I was sick of it because when you play a 10-player game, you rely on other people a lot.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, there's like politics with that too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like no one like hated each other, you know what I mean? But it was just kind of like, I feel like there was almost like pressure to like play with other people kind of. So like teams weren't really being solidified. And because the game was strictly offline, you only had access to the people that were in your scene to team up with and then go play elsewhere. And like, if all the good players are kind of like separated out, and there were a lot of players who were trash at the game who thought they were good, egos kind of get in the way and stuff. And it was just this whole thing I didn't want to deal with. Like after like the fifth plane ticket I took, carrying my team or just not getting support or whatever, to get like 6th place or 8th place or whatever. Like, I'm fucking out of here, man. Like, this is just a waste of my money and my time. So I want to take third strike more seriously. And I decided I want it on its own night, because when the Killer Queen folks are there, it's just a lot. It's really loud, and I didn't want to deal with it. So I went around and I kind of started networking online a little bit and tried to find who I knew that played. I didn't know GK yet, or Eduardo, or any of the organizers. So this was just kind of like my own little safety net of people I was trying to find, and made a poll. What day works the best? Most people voted Thursdays. I'm like, okay, I've heard people use the term Third Strike Thursday, so maybe that kind of makes sense. And for a while, I kind of started the whole thing where I would show up every week. Rain, snow, if I'm tired, it didn't matter. I was there every single week for many, many months, several months. And it took a while for things to get consistent, but eventually we did. And we kind of went through ups and downs of the scene. Some weeks we'd have 10 people, and then we'd go through phases where we'd only have 3 people showing up, myself included. And it was not great. We were also on a stand-up American cab. It hurt our wrists to play on. Like, the buttons were like straight, you know what I mean? Like that layout where it's like everything's like it's like a rectangle, And eventually we had this guy, Wilder, awesome guy. Shouts to Wilder, man. I doubt he's here watching, but still, shouts to Wilder Ham, man. He owns a place called Save Point, or owned previously. Sorry, I should say past tense. Owned a place called Save Point. They got bought out, so it's good. They didn't like get shut down. They got an offer and they got bought out by a place. So, but he owned this place, and he kind of knew where to get good shit, like good cabinets. And he talked with Zach about getting a versus cab. This was completely done by him. I had no input in it. It was none of my doing. He did it all on his own, just went to Zach, and then he kind of came to us one week, and he was like, oh, hey, like, I was talking to Zach about getting us a sit-down cab, and kind of showed me pictures of it, and I'm like, oh, dude, this would be incredible. We're standing up playing side by side, like, our shoulders are, like, bumping into each other, and, like, if you're on the player 2 side, like, your inputs get messed up because you're trying to you're trying to do double quarter circles with a guy who's his shoulders in you, and so getting that was huge. Like, and once we got that, like our scene like doubled in size, tripled in size, maybe. I mean, we had food stamps. Like I met food stamps because we got that cab. I'm sure like a lot of people here know food stamps. I know a Mexicutioner who is like not only an amazing third strike player, but dude, he's easily like one of the best Tekken players in the state of North Carolina. Like easily, he's an absolute god king and armor king player. And then I should say this too. Food Stamps is also a godlike Tekken player. I think he plays Bob. He's a Bob main. And he's even knocked over Mexicutioner a few times in bracket, which is really impressive. Mexicutioner and Food Stamps are no slouch, man. They're insane. So we also had Zach come out. Zach K. I don't know if I say his last name. I can't remember. You can kind of remind me if anyone in chat can say this. I can't quite remember what his gamer tag was, but yeah, Zach K. Big Urian guy. Some optimist. There we go. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, he was a huge Street Fighter V player. Huge. He was really good. He was like a grandmaster Urian player. Switched over to third strike. And god damn it, if he wasn't the hardest working MFer that I ever met on third strike, he was streaming every day for like months straight, just labbing setups all damn day, man. It was insane. And he skyrocketed in skill. So we basically just got these 3 new like killers join our scene. And that was really cool. Because we didn't have a lot of like solid players, you know what I mean? It was kind of like me and a few other folks, but so that was kind of like the beginning of like a new era for us. It was awesome. And then kind of like before quarantine may have been a blessing in disguise for us, because up until quarantine we only consistently had about 3 people come out. All this happened in 2019, but we went through a phase where only 3 people were coming out. It was me, Jeebus, and Makoto guy John. And then quarantine happened, and then once quarantine ended, I think everyone was so ready to do some shit that like when we started coming back and doing sessions, we had like 10 people every week, and it's kind of sort of been like that more or less since quarantine ended, which is awesome. New location, new Abari location happened in like, it was like 2022, somewhere around there. 2021, maybe, like, I think it was like early 2022, if I'm not mistaken there. But yeah, this new location is beautiful. It's like 3 times the size of the old Abari location, much nicer, bigger game selection, and with not just the Versus City, we have retro fighters. Like there's a whole corner of retro fighters that are on like Blast Cities back there. We have like MBC2, we have CVS2, we have Tekken, we have a Tekken 3 cab, we have and a Tekken tag cab. We have there's like a Sam Show game we got. I can't remember which one it is. We have Puzzle Fighter, and I can't even remember all of them, honestly, like because the boards rotate. But the scene just kind of just blew up because we had so many new cabinets, and the place to visit, it isn't just like a third strike place. Like this is like, it's a fun place to be. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that is a a long answer, but I felt like the question that I always ramble, but I feel like that time that was a long answer that was actually called for, I think. So that's the brief history of our scene over the last 8 years. So
yeah. And we're talking specifically about the Charlotte area, right?
Yeah, I'm not even I left out everything else because I knew I wouldn't shut up. So
yeah. So was the first location a bar?
Yeah, actually, I would say both. I would say both locations.
Yeah,
this one is also a bar.
Yeah, so the first one was a bar.
That's right.
So okay, and then you said that that the first one was pretty small, and the new location is about 3 times the size,
roughly.
And so
yeah, 2.5. Yeah, you're right. Whatever.
Yeah, because I remember Abari opening their new location. Yeah, like you said, just maybe like a year or so ago. And
yeah,
I started seeing videos of it in social media.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looked like a great place. It's funny that I'm so glad that you came on and shared your experience with Killer Queen and
Yeah.
talked about Chicago, because I think Logan Arcade was the first place that I saw Killer Queen. And it's interesting that you talk about how like you kind of stopped, I guess, playing Killer Queen. You were talking about the team aspect. Like I always felt that one of the more intimidating things about getting into fighting games, especially competitive fighting games, is that it's singles competition most of the time. Uh, I think teams is the best, especially when it comes to something like Third Strike. But it's interesting to hear your perspective, how you were really into Killer Queen, but then you were saying how because it's like a team sport, there was a lot of personalities, a lot of different lives to manage, and a lot of things to coordinate. But
Mm-hmm.
with Third Strike, you go from like a team competition to a single player game, and so it's interesting that you talk about how you went from Killer Queen to Third Strike, because
Yeah.
I always hear people say how one of the more intimidating things about competitive fighting games is you kind of go in there, right? You go into the tournament. If you are new, you're probably going to go 0-2. I mean, and so that's interesting to hear that.
Oh yeah, I'm lucky in that aspect. I never went 0-2, thankfully. I had a little bit of backup. I think that skills transfer. I played a lot of I've put in just an ungodly amount of time playing single player fighting games, and that's kind of like what I went into. Like when I played my first tournament, it was like I played like I do against like an AI. Like I did not, I cannot even put into words how much the idea of like conditioning someone and having an offense was just not a thing for me. Like it was like when I played, whenever I play against an AI, like it was like I down back until I find something unsafe, or if I think I have, or if I can anti-air or something like that. That was it. It was just down back, wait for the anti-air, or see if they do something that seems stupid that I can find a hole in, right? No offense. So but yeah, luckily I've never gone 0-2. But I mean, close. I mean, my first two tournaments, it was like my first 2 or 3 tournaments in Greensboro, it was 1-2. Not much greater at all.
Mhm. Yeah.
There was like but to be fair, they had like a newbies bracket. What they would do when I joined in, they would do a newbies bracket and they would do like a vets bracket.
Mhm.
So which was kind of cool, because then it was like when I did like the newbie bracket, I'd go like 2-2 or 3-2. And then when I have to play against people who are actually good, I mean, I would usually lose round 1, win round 2, and then I'd be done by round 3.
Mhm.
I'd get knocked out by like demo guy or uh it was like, no, it was kind of funny. It was Justin. I'm not going to say his last name. 404 Yaiba. There was like this thing where like literally every time I went to Greensboro, there was not a single time where he wasn't like the second guy I played who knocked me out. It was kind of funny. It was like 15 tournaments in a row or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to 404 Yava, man. He's like seriously the coolest guy ever. I was never good enough to say, oh, he was my rival. I mean, like, because rival would mean that he would have to try against me, and he did not have to do that. So yeah, no, I never had like a rival or anything like that. But yeah, no, it
Yeah.
was fun though, man. Greensboro was an awesome place, man.
Yeah.
Over there at Lost Ark, man. What an incredible arcade.
Hmm. But now we have Super Abari Game
Yeah,
Bar, and so let's talk a little bit more about this event that's coming up. And so,
yeah.
yeah, so Super Abari Game Bar will be running their first ever Jazzy Ranking Event,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the Start GG page. It's scheduled for this Sunday, I believe, January 28th. Is that correct?
That is correct, man.
Yeah.
That is so correct. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's absolutely
so
right.
so tell us a little bit more about like this actual event, Ryan, and
Sure, yeah.
yeah, maybe give us a preview on who might be some heavy hitters that will be in
Well,
the
let's see
bracket.
here. Right now, I because of my experience in running brackets in the past, I have not let myself look at the signups yet
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like every time I'm like, oh yeah, man, like this dude's gonna be here, and like the day of, it's like, oh hey, something came up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's kind of like the thing is, I
Yeah.
haven't talked to anyone about. I haven't picked anyone's brain about it.
Uh,
I'm doing my best. I'm advertising it, and I'm telling everyone to come out.
mm,
I'm sure if you scroll on here, you can kind of see all the attendees here. Oh
yeah.
yeah, look at this. Yeah, looks like we have about 27 there. That's my honestly,
That's
that's
a
my first
lot.
time
That's
looking at it in
that's
a
a
minute.
lot. So
Yeah,
yeah,
um,
congratulations on that,
yeah,
Ryan.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
27 players. And so if
that's
it's
pretty sick,
27
man.
players, that means I guess I should know my own uh my own league
You
rules.
trying to do the math of like how
But
much?
no, I was just wondering how many I think it's going to be let's just go ahead and double
Yeah,
check and go to the
pull up. Yeah, pull up the thing. Yeah, pull up
pull
the
up
thing. Yeah,
the point spread.
that's
Because
right.
we almost always change it every year. And so
Yeah, yeah.
but here's the point spread for the offline events for Jazzy Season 5. And so your event is currently at S tier, but
S tier. All right.
but you have 27 players, so you are yeah, 5 players away from XS tier, and
That'd be sick.
you're going to be running this event on arcade cabs, obviously, and so that means your event's going to earn arcade points. And so right now it's ranking event, we're 400 points, and so if anyone is listening, or anyone sees the
Mhm.
VOD, you want to come down and try your hand at Third Strike, and at the same time check out a really cool venue,
Mhm.
uh,
Now
consider
I
come
noticed.
down.
Yeah. No, see, I guess I didn't even notice like that. That does feel like almost like a big discrepancy. Like I respect that there's a discrepancy because it is different. You know what I mean? Both parties like, yeah, like that's it's a big difference between 400 and 250 for winning, right? That is no small amount.
Oh, you mean the different point
Between
system for
Yeah, between
arcade
arcade and port. Yeah.
and port? Yeah. One of the things that we wanted to do was try and encourage people to use the arcade hardware. Uh, at the end of the day, we want to try and play the game the way that it was originally meant to
Yeah.
be played. But we also wanted to give new players, like you were talking about, like this idea of a beginner's bracket or something. We
Mhm.
also just wanted to give players the ability to just run their own ranking event. And so,
Mhm.
even though it may not earn as many points, this is something that you could do
Yeah.
just to get your scene started.
Dude, yeah,
And
absolutely.
this season, unlike previous seasons, we are allowing basically any port of Third Strike as long as it's not OE. So that means you could run your event on 30th anniversary. I know you were talking about all the shitty ports that we have had in the past. I think they've all, done their. I think they've all been serviceable, but you're right. It's been. I've been in the scene for a really long time, so this discussion about like
Oh
when are
yeah.
we gonna get the perfect port? When do we get the perfect port?
Yeah, I know.
It's really something that I don't really pay too much attention to anymore.
I mean,
But
I feel that, man.
yeah. Thank you
If
for the subscription, UFO FGC. Really
UFO, let's go.
appreciate it. Thanks for listening to Jazzy Talk. And so, yeah, we just thought it would be a good way for people with little to no experience in Third Strike or fighting games or running tournaments, trying to lower the barrier as much as we can. And so,
I like that, man.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the point system is always, no pun intended, a point of contention with the Jazzy board. We're always trying to figure out how
Yeah.
to tweak the system. But yeah, you
That's
are
good, man.
5 players away from 600 points. So
That's pretty sick, man.
yeah, and so hopefully more people come out to
Yeah.
the event.
And this is, I mean, this is something that I think everyone's done before, man. Like if we get there and we're like 3 short, man, like we're gonna find randos to sign up, man. You know that. Like we're gonna we're gonna find us like people at the bar, like, hey man, if you sign up, like we'll buy you a drink if you sign up for this tournament. Like
Well,
one of those.
To be clear, Jazzy does not condone any of those type of practices,
We don't. Hey, no, we're not doing that. What the fuck are we talking about?
but we are always behind TOs doing what they can to persuade people to give a Third Strike a try.
Dude, yeah, we don't know if that's like what if they're the next 5-star, man? You don't know that. They could be
Hey,
getting the
that could be totally true. The next 5-star
yeah.
could be out there.
I got you. That's true, man. But no, we won't. We like. I'm glad he told me that because like I'm not gonna go find randos now. If I see someone who I know plays fighting games is there, like if I see like Wilder or like one of my homies out there and I know they actually play Third Strike, then yeah, okay, your ass is coming out, man.
So we got a bunch of people saying that they were gonna try to get people that know people to sign up.
Hell yeah, yeah. See,
shout out.
Is that Sharif? Is that Sharif the Sega Reef?
And
yeah, I see. Yeah. Executioner, I see you, man. Yeah, there's a good chance you will get 5 more, man. Because like there's, dude, like every tournament, there's a ton of people who don't sign up beforehand because they're like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. Why do I need to sign up before?
Yeah.
So GK says we're gonna hit 32. Several names I know for a fact haven't been there yet. That's sick. There's a good chance we might hit that XS tier, man.
This is why I'm so excited because it's
Cryo Wall.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Because it just seems like no, you're cool. It just seems like this tournament's going to be like a who's who from North Carolina.
Yeah,
it almost looks like your own little regional, your Third Strike regional. Because like I just browsed through some of the names and it's like I see Fran in there.
Oh,
Fran
damn it! Yeah, let's get ready. Let's just give him the first place now. Jesus Christ. Fucking Fran, dude. When that dude pops Ganagin, man, it's over, dude. I fucking hate playing against him, dude.
Yeah, we got Troy. Obviously, Troy trying to grind on that Jazzy train.
See you, bro.
We got Gaming with Jimbo, who with Troy runs Southeast Throwdown. We got Cryowall, 2000 and correct if I'm wrong. Was it 2003? Winter Showdown champion, Cryowall.
Oh shit! You want a Witcher 3 tournament?
No. Cryowall went to Westminster, Colorado, went to Akihabara Arcade, which is the barcade that we ran the finale in last year, and he went to Winter Showdown, which is one of their events. It was a Jazzy Ranking event, and he won.
Oh, my bad.
And then he was at the finale, and he was wearing his medal for Winter Showdown at the finale. It was so sick. I totally co-signed that. That was sick. Flannel Jack says that people, guys like Kex, Tom, assuming you mean Knuckle Dust and Herb haven't signed up. So yeah, I definitely.
Man, Herb.
Yeah. Oh, we got Apple Shampoo in here.
Apple Shampoo. We got Herb, bro. Shouts out to Herb Durkin, man. I fucking love that dude's the coolest guy in the world, man.
I mean, that's a Blink reference, right? Apple Shampoo. You're a musician, Ryan. That's why I'm asking you. So I don't know if you know Blink 182, but I think that's a Blink reference, right? Apple Shampoo. I don't know.
Dude, I kind of thought it was, but I wasn't sure. So I just I never asked. So I was like, I guess so.
And then of course we got Face. Long time North Carolina Third Strike Chun player. Dude, spent a lot of time in Japan. Yeah, this event's gonna be pretty sick, especially if Knuckle Dust is signing up.
Yeah. There's if anyone who doesn't know Face, man, I think it's important to kind of talk about Face for a second because this dude, when I came into the scene, because it's Charlotte after it got created for a while, it was one of those things where after we became legit, that's when we kind of plugged in to everyone else, right? I found through the grapevine a guy that I hung out with a lot in college, in high school, Daniel. This is not Execution. This is Poppy Culo. Good friends with them in high school, in college. He was like, "Oh, hey, I live in Greensboro, or I go to this tournament," because he found that I played, and I was like, "Sure, I'll check it out." And then by chance, that just so happened to be the best thing that ever happened to our scene because I got to meet GK, who knew everyone else, and then we kind of got inserted here, and then that's when we after that we kind of started traveling to Raleigh to play with UFO, playing at Tournament of Thrones, going to Greensboro, playing this. But sorry, all that to say, Brian Face here. When I came in he was living in Japan, and I didn't meet him for several years because he was in Japan for a while. Obviously quarantine happened. I can't remember. I want to say it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago is when Face moved back here? Please correct me. I somewhere around there. But yeah, no, like he went to Japan and he came back, and it's like, he's bringing back the Japan skills. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you can't tell if it's like a stereotype or is it legit. Like, no, like, dude, Japanese players are like freaking insane, and like people who go out there and come back, like, they're always better. You know what I mean? Like, no one ever goes to Japan for the first time and comes back and they're just like the same player. It's like, so Face is he truly, he's a world warrior. Really, he literally is.
Awesome.
All that to kind of just
Yeah.
that long-winded answer there, but yeah.
So yeah, looking forward this Sunday, especially a Sunday, especially when you get like as old as me. We just want to spend our Sundays chill at home.
Oh yeah,
and
man.
So I appreciate you giving us some Third Strike entertainment on a lazy Sunday, but no one's gonna be lazy at the Abari tournament. Y'all are coming out to go do some damage here. So
That's
before
right,
we get out of here, Ryan, I thought maybe what we could do is just kind of review the standings, because we're about 3 weeks into the season 5 Jazzy circuit, and we already have our first finalist for the season 5 finale, who is Amir. Amir went back to back, winning his second straight Jazzy auto qualifier at Barcode. Shout outs to Arliath and the entire crew over at Barcode, especially the people who signed up to volunteer for Barcode. Jazzy thanks you and your service, and so we appreciate all your hard work, and thanks for putting on a great show. I don't know if you watched any of it, Brian, but if you want some footage to hype yourself up for Super Abari, because when I think about like the event that you're about to have this Sunday, Barcode is very similar, and it's something that I think Jazzy's been doing a lot, which is trying to run these Third Strike tournaments at these local barcades, and I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on just kind of like the vibe, because not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned whether or not when you were growing up you ever like went to arcades and stuff like that, but as a longtime patron of Abari, now Super Abari, I mean, tell me a little bit more about just that vibe of having fighting games at like a bar or like a barcade, because obviously there's a lot of barcades now around the country, all this nostalgia. So just kind of tell me a little bit about what makes that vibe special, especially someone coming from the Killer Queen scene.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I want to say, the older that I've gotten, the more I believe in intangibles and things that you maybe can't put a word on, or I think that there's a lot of things that we experience as human beings that maybe we don't get, or we don't have the wherewithal to kind of put words in. I sort of started off, getting that arcade feel. Obviously, you're right, from Killer Queen, and it was great. I met a whole new friend group there, and they're people I still talk to this day. Amazing. And switching over to Third Strike, whether it's at Abari or whether it was at Lost Ark, playing with Franco and all those gods who whipped our asses all the time, or going to Tournament of Thrones, playing over with with Eduardo and all them. It really is something like you really can't, you almost can't really describe it, because when it's popping, like, I'm not going to hold you. Like, there's a lot of weeks where it's like, if it's just you and a few folks, it's like, okay, well, I'm here to get better, and that's kind of it. It's still a good time. But when you have a good night where people are out there, it's like, I mean, it's like being on cloud nine, man. I mean, it's like you're doing something that's fun. You're all kind of there, like, sharing this this experience that most people don't have, because getting better at fighting games is such a personal journey, and it's so hard. It is, like, I think it's legitimately one of the hardest things to do is like getting better at like any fighting game, So it's so hard that's why I think it's a niche hobby. It's like, I've heard people say this before, where like video games is kind of a niche hobby, but like fighting games is kind of like a niche of the niche. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's like two. Like, would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I would definitely consider
Yeah, like
us
two.
a niche thing. Yeah,
Yeah, like within like yeah, that's what I'm getting at is that I
yeah,
think that we're all aware of that. And when you're around people who are kind of going through this, like you really do feel a sense of kinship with people who are doing it too, because you know that they're putting themselves through the ringer in their free time to try and get good at this game or whatever, because they want to try and be better than the people around them. Um, so you're when you sort of amplify that with the social interactions, you're even if you're not a drinker, obviously you don't have to drink if you're there, but like sitting there and just in that kind of environment where people are really just getting relaxed, just having a good time, you'll get hype on the cabinet, and then once you get off, you're kind of shaking off the adrenaline, and you're just back to kind of hanging out. Like it really is like one of the best feelings in the world. Like that's all I can tell you. Like it's one of the best feelings out there. I know there's like a lot of Twitch say what is it, chat monsters, whatever they say. I mean, we don't get a ton of those here. Like most people who go to Third Strike streams play because this is such a niche thing. We're playing a 24-year-old fighting game. Yeah, we're not exactly getting League of Legends traffic here. But if we did have anyone here who didn't come out, maybe if anyone watches like a VOD of this, I don't know if anyone would or not, but that's something that you should get into. Because just because of everything I said, you feel a level of like connection and like friendship that you don't really get as an adult that often. You know what I mean? It's kind of like once you're like kind of out of your 20s and stuff like that, like it can be kind of hard to like to make friends and like meet people. You know what I mean? And it's a perfect opportunity to do it. You meet like really really cool personalities. Almost no one is boring who plays fighting games, because we are all, no one here is like just like working a stuffy job and then like going home and not doing anything. We all said, everyone who's playing fighting games still, we all said fuck that, and we all want to have excitement in our lives. So those are the kind of people that you're meeting.
Mhm.
So that's my long again. You can't ask me a question without me talking for 5
No,
goddamn minutes.
no, it's
But
cool. It's cool.
that's my take on that, right?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Well, Ryan, before we get out of here, once again, I just wanted to kind of review the standings for the current standings for Jazzy Season 5 because North Carolina is definitely looking strong here. And so, as we said before, Amir, congratulations to Amir for winning the Jazzy Auto Qualifier at Barcode this past Saturday. And so that means that his points are technically forfeited. And so he no longer is on the leaderboard because he already qualified. And so that means that if, like, say, for instance, the season were to end today, that means that your top 5 finalists for this season would be Flannel Jack, who is the new number 1 on the leaderboard, followed by Troy, then Lance, longtime chun from Texas, Dirty Llama. Uh, I don't want to miss. I don't want to spread misinformation about where he lives, but I think Dirty Llama is part of that Data FGC crew. I remember actually playing Dirty Llama at an NEC nearly 10 years ago. And so it really is cool to see that name still grinding on that third strike. And then, of course, we have Luke, former, invitee to the Jazzy finale invitational, former Jazzy finalist, a strong Goki player from Austin. And so, yeah, that's how the standings shake out
May
for
I ask, are
basically
there?
the end of the month in January as we wrap up this first month of Jazzy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
is there more? Yeah, I was gonna say like I wanted you to scroll down because I couldn't quite see everyone
Mhm.
there. Like, there's more than like, isn't it like the top 16 or 32? How many people get like qualify into?
Yeah.
How many folks is it?
So let's go ahead and take a look real quickly at the roadmap for season 5. I think now would be a really good time to
Yeah,
kind of
or
review
not?
that. And so let's go ahead and go to the main Jazzy Circuit page. Shout outs to Lionplex for helping us out with these infographics so that everyone knows exactly how you can qualify. And so, yeah, here's the roadmap for the season 5 Jazzy finale. So there are 4 ways to qualify for the 16 player finale. The most direct route would be to win one of the 5 auto qualifiers scheduled during season 5. As I mentioned before, Amir, congratulations for winning Barcode, which was our first Jazzy auto qualifier. Can't think of any place but Southern California to kick us off on this 25th anniversary celebration of Third Strike. You had mentioned that it's 24 years old and it's coming up to 25. Wow. So we have people now, Ryan, who are now entering and playing the game and competing in the game that are actually younger than the game itself. And so that's pretty wild. And so next month, we're going to have the auto qualifier at the gaming zone. Jazzy's going to be teaming up with the Cactus League, the AZ Third Strike scene over there. And we're going to be hosting the second Jazzy auto qualifier on Saturday, February 24th. All the auto qualifiers are on Saturday, by the way. Then an auto qualifier that I'm really looking forward to, Ryan, and you might appreciate this because you are a musician, but the Arcade UFO auto qualifier, which happens in Austin, Texas, Arcade UFO, longtime venue and supporter of Third Strike, just recently moved to a new location. Their auto qualifier is going to be on Saturday, March 16th, which is the last day of South by Southwest. And so I hope there are some people who are at that music and arts festival that check out Arcade UFO. It might be really cool to see some people there. And so, the Arcade UFO auto qualifier happens on the last day of South by Southwest. So if anyone's listening and planning to go to that festival, stop by Arcade UFO, check it out. Absolutely. And then we were talking about Chicago, Ryan.
That's right, man.
The fourth auto qualifier, April 20th, 2024, Logan Arcade. Shout outs to Mr. Part 2 who's going to be running that event. I went to Logan last season and I had a blast. The energy was so awesome.
Dude, seriously, shouts out to Logan, man. That's like one of the coolest arcades I've ever been to, man. I mean, that's like, I love that place.
Yeah, definitely. And then finally, the 5th and final auto qualifier for season 5 will be happening in my neck of the woods, Brooklyn Games and Arcade, May 18th, the weekend after the 25th birthday of Third Strike. Third Strike was officially released on May 12th.
Hey,
and so we're gonna be celebrating that on the last for the last auto qualifier. And so shout outs to the entire team at Brooklyn Games and Arcade. Looking forward to that auto qualifier. So Ryan, if you get first place in any of these events, you punch your ticket straight to the Jazzy finale weekend, and you get to bypass those killer last chance qualifier pools. And basically, if you win one of the auto qualifiers, you come to the finale, you technically don't have to play until the last day of the weekend. You don't have to play until Sunday. You could just go there. I mean, most of the finalists, they want to compete in the team tournament on Friday. But hey, if you're a finalist and you win one of the auto qualifiers, you could chill until Sunday. Although, I am kind of interested in hearing the experience of past finalists and hear how they kind of approach that weekend. If they like to play a little bit so they don't get cold or whatever. So so that's the first way to qualify. Now the second way to qualify is what we just kind of went through with the standings. And so 5 additional spots will be awarded in the finale to the players who earn the 5 most points throughout the season. These are the ranking events. And so that's why we're looking at the points, right? So your event, for example, is a ranking event. And so anyone who makes top 8 at any ranking event gets points. Then at the end of the season, the 5 players with the most points also get a spot in the Jazzy finale. Then we have the online events, which is something new that we're trying this season. And so the online events have a completely separate point structure. There are going to be 15 events throughout the season, and the top 2 players who the top 2 players who earn the most points.
I saw Nika's score.
Nika has quite the lead, quite the sizable lead. For Jazzy Online, and I think we've had a really great start to Jazzy Online. The first two Jazzy Online events had 50 plus, which
Yeah,
which explains why Nika has so many points because he won both of them, and they were both
yeah,
MSF events, and MSF events are worth 600 points. And remember that these Jazzy Online events are completely separate from the offline events, so you could actually try and qualify to both ways. Ryan.
I see what you're
You
saying.
could, you could
So
try to compete. You could try to advance. You could try to qualify by competing in the auto qualifiers or ranking events, or you could try to qualify through the Jazzy Online events.
yeah. So when we go to this, just like these, like the point structures, like your online points do not mesh with your offline,
No,
right?
they don't. They don't.
Boom. All right, cool.
No, they
And I was
don't.
going to ask, like, so you said like the auto qualify. Is it like it's not like the case where like if you get first place in like any old ranking event, you're qualified. It's just like if the
Only
ranking event gives you enough points,
yes,
then that's what. Okay, that's how it
yes,
works. Okay,
yes. Only the auto qualifiers are the tournaments where first place
yeah,
gets the automatic
gotcha.
bye to the Jazzy finale. And
Yeah,
so, and then the final way to try and qualify for the 16 player Jazzy finale, because that's 5 from the auto qualifiers, 5 from the ranking events, and then 2 from the online events. So that gives us 12. And so the remaining 4 players, we're going to determine that through the LTQ. And Ryan, the LTQs are rough. Last year we had 6 last chance qualifier spots, but then we decided maybe that might be a little too many. And so we brought it down to 4, which means there are 2 pools. 2 players get out of each pool. And so this is your absolute last chance to get into the 16 player Jazzy finale, which happens
hmm
on the last day of Jazzy finale weekend. And so, yeah, your event's going to be a pretty important event early on for
yeah,
players who want to really establish
yeah.
that their
It's
positions in the leaderboard.
yeah, it's the
And
Iowa caucus of the ranking events.
Caucasus,
Yes. Yeah.
right? So yeah, that's why I'm really looking forward to your event. It's going to be worth a ton of points, and it's happening. It's all happening this Sunday, January 28th. Super Abari Game Bar. Ryan Goodsport will be there along with a host of all of the other heavy hitters from the North
Yeah.
Carolina third strike scene.
Yeah, I do want
Yeah.
to because it's only fair to say is I hope GK is here right now, still listening because this is the I didn't all I gotta say is the amount of effort that we have this guy Flannel Jack aka GK here. I can't overestimate the amount of work that he puts into like every tournament. I didn't have to reach out to him. He came to me and said, "Hey, I want to help. Tell me what to do." And I didn't have to ask twice to say, "All right, well, I need someone to make a flyer." And he learned he knows graphic design like from my understanding pretty much almost like just to help people with like promote tournaments. I mean, he makes so many amazing graphics.
Mhm.
Um he'll be a liaison for communication if there's anything that that needs to be done. I know Zach, the owner, had a question for me that I couldn't answer for him because I don't know shit about cabinets, dude. Like I can't. Someone's like, oh hey, like I'm having technical problems. I'm like, hey, tough shit, man. I can't do it. So like I pointed him, in GK's direction, and the thing we were dealing with, kind of got resolved. But GK has put in, as much effort in helping this event than anyone else has really. So him and also the owner of Super Abari, Zach Polium. Oh my God, it's like I kind of feel like at this point between like the help I had between both of these guys, like sometimes it's after like the initial meetings that I had with Zach. We met in person like twice to kind of talk over this. Like this was like off hours. I was there at like, around noon when like the bar like wasn't even like really open to kind of talk with him a few times. And we went over all the logistics. We kind of like made the game plan together. But it's kind of like in terms of like all the executions of all of the tangible things that happen. I mean, Zach and GK really need to be the ones who are getting a lot of the credit here. My name should not be like the only one who's getting a shout out here. So I want to say this, just ahead of time. Thank you very much, GK, aka Flannel Jack, and thank you to Zach Polium for like all this work. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like I was planning things, like I was the ideas guy. And I'm the one who's responsible for like advertising and putting it out and stuff like that. But a lot of the things that kind of came to fruition were because of Zach and because of GK. So thank you guys very much for that. That's my final piece with that. Just want to give you guys the love you deserve. So
Yeah, definitely give flowers when they're here.
Yeah.
And so appreciate your time, Ryan. Looking forward to the first ever Jazzy Circuit Ranking Event at Super Abari Game Bar, Charlotte, North Carolina, 1015 Siegel Avenue. Is that how you pronounce it? Siegel? Yeah, January
exactly
28th, 2024 on a Sunday. And so looking forward to watching all the action. And if you want to know more about Super Abari Game Bar or interested in taking part in the Jazzy Circuit this season, head over to jazzycircuit.org for more information. And so until next time, thanks to all of you for joining me again on Jazzy Talk, and we will see each other soon. Take care, everyone.